Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Big Home Ed Conversations. So we are here today, myself, Kelly, and Ashley, as always, to essentially chat to you guys about slowing down. But I also wanted to really kind of caveat to that and the fact that actually when I first started thinking about slowing down, and I've basically done this kind of massive cull for my half term, we have literally cancelled everything. That actually what's really interesting is that where the slowing down happened, I created space. What actually helped me to do is to step back and to kind of actually look at the bigger picture, which has meant that I've then filled the space with things which have actually just been really cleansing in their own way. And we'll get into it a bit more in a minute, but I wanted to kind of stress that if the thought of slowing down makes you want to punch us in the face, that this isn't going to be all about just literally just like, oh, just take it easy, just don't do any work that week, like it's that easy. Like you're still going to have your kids, you're still going to have work, you're still going to have housework to do, you're still going to have things that need doing. And as much as it's easy to say slow down and just let it all go for a minute, like sometimes that's not someone's idea of relaxing. That can actually be really very stressful in its own right. So bear with us on this one. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. But I think firstly as well, I also wanted to thank you all for your patience whilst we had a short half-term break. Ashley has officially moved house. Woohoo! Go you, Ashley.
Yes, it's very exciting.
It's been a very stressful couple of weeks. But we both basically just had an absolute nightmare. We had little ones having birthdays, and then Ashley was moving house, and we're like, should we just take a breather? And we'll catch up again very soon. So thank you for your patience. But we are now back, and we should be running now through until kind of early December-ish. And then we'll take a break over the winter, which is kind of a little bit about what we wanted to talk about today, wasn't it, Ashley? We were both saying just now that actually a lot of this sensation that I've been feeling, this desperate need to go inwards, to be home a bit more, to maybe be a little bit less social, to eat really cozy food, is actually like it's an indicator of our natural human instincts at this time of year, to slow down, to go inwards, to have that just lovely connection time with your family, to do all those things. And I think it's really interesting how I do feel like we have started to lose, or we have very much lost, and we're maybe trying to reclaim, I guess, our human nature. I think that we actually want to hibernate around this time of year.
I do.
It really makes me curious about if we really did lose all the hustle culture and the social expectations of this time of year, and the fact that obviously the working week just never seems to end, whether or not actually human beings would hibernate.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely this just display throughout nature, whether you're looking at plants or animals, whatever that is, there is a change in the winter season. There is a pause. There is definitely a rest. Obviously, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to, lose all our leaves, or we're going to sit in a cave for 6 months. But I think it definitely is this natural desire to slow down a little bit and to kind of be more inward, to be more cozy, to be more in your house, to light the candles, to make the cookies. And of course, our seasonal holidays tend to kind of echo that, but they also push us to be very busy. We have to, attend the parties. We have to host the dinners. We have to, if you're, the person in your family that does most of the holiday shopping and preparation for Christmas, like that is a big weight. And so I think that we definitely now, even if we went back, 50 years, because I feel like my mom was pretty busy when I was little. So further than that, I think we might see it be slightly different and not so fast. And I think that obviously like just from a perspective of like consumerism has changed as well. Like our kids are asking for things because they see it everywhere on advertisements and stuff. And so I think that's obviously really changed in the past few decades as well. But yeah, I think that you have to kind of fight it. You have to sort of fight that push to do all the things, to attend all the things, all the holiday specials, all of that, just to sort of, I mean, for me anyway, I would like to ease out of 2024, not race out of it. So I think I'm trying to do some of it, but yeah, be very conscious about how to let some things go so that I can have the experiences with my kids that I want to have.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, that commercialism in our sort of society has just
Hmm.
absolutely fast forwarded in the past kind of 40 or 50 years. And ultimately, it has a lot of responsibility for everything that we feel is important, whether it's our
Hmm.
looks, what we wear, how we live, what our houses look like, how many
Yeah.
toys we buy our kids, how much money we're spending, what our Christmas dinner looks like. Like, there's an awful lot of kind of expectations and high demands for
Hmm.
Halloween, for fireworks night, for all of it. Absolutely all of it seems to require such a huge amount of thought and preparation and planning and doing. And so much of it does go unnoticed as well, which can be really quite upsetting this time of year when you feel like you put an awful lot of effort in. And I know that very recently, so this kind of topic has come up because I've been having a bit of a hard time, and the past kind of, well, this year has been fun for so many different reasons. But the past few weeks, I have really started to notice that so often I'd be planning these days out for the kids and my family, and we'd go, and one or me or my husband, one of us would be in a bit of a bad mood, or the kids would be squabbling all day, or we wouldn't really feel like we got much out of it. And actually, then I was like, why have I gone to so much effort? Like,
Yeah.
nobody in this family is happy. Like, I'm doing all these things, I'm making all this stuff happen, I'm making all these plans happen, I'm getting you the best stuff, I'm finding you great resources, I'm trying here, I'm sacrificing so much. And I realized that obviously this is all the resentment that starts to build up, basically,
Sure,
from
of course.
we're setting expectations and
Yeah.
sort of hopes and dreams for our family, and in wanting it to be so intentional and amazing, that actually we can really, and I don't say resentment lightly, it's not a nice feeling, but it's a real one. And I think it'd be a bit silly not to acknowledge the fact that it's essentially, that's what it is a feeling of resentment, because actually you put an awful lot of quite hidden effort into making an incredible life, you think, for your family. And
Hmm.
when they don't seem like they're appreciating it, and maybe even you aren't appreciating it either, you're like, why am I doing this? Like, why am I literally hustling and racing from day to day to day, getting us to all these clubs and groups and things that actually it doesn't really feel like any of us are enjoying?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that where we've had some financial difficulties and we've had some other stuff kind of going on personally, it has meant that I am not enjoying things in the same way as I maybe would have done a year or two ago. That I am stressed, that I am distracted, that I'm not very connected with my kids. I'm not actually truly seeing what it is they do enjoy. Do they want to be here? Is this their idea of fun? Am I just thinking this is just what fun looks like, and therefore I'm trying to create it to look that way? Like, I don't really know, but I found myself just starting to think that actually what I really seriously need to do is stop. And the concept of that is terrifying. Like, I think that even I
Yeah.
wanted to punch myself for saying, like, yeah, just slow down. Sure, like it's that simple. And I literally found myself looking at my calendar and thinking, when am I supposed to stop? When am I supposed to truly take a step back and actually look at this situation really, like, deeply and properly, and consider what is going wrong here? And I'm a very self-aware person. I spend a lot of time doing self-growth work, and supporting others with it too. And so I've been feeling kind of really disconnected from my practice, basically from my own self-care lately. And essentially I sort of looked at my half term and thought, well, could I cancel everything for half term? Could I just stay home? It's the best week to try and do it. Most of the clubs aren't running anyway. I could
Yeah.
probably cancel the other couple that I usually run. Could I genuinely just create a week for myself where I'm genuinely not doing anything else? Um, and it was fascinating how initially it was genuinely, the intention was to veg, to watch TV, to read books, to bake cookies and enjoy the kids and watch, let's just do whatever, right? No stress, no massive Halloween dressing up the house, no over the top anything, just literally bare basics. Have a nice, relaxing week. And what I've noticed instead is, as I have created that space and I've had the chance to actually sit and rest, my brain has gone, oh, well, as we've got this time, do you reckon actually we could have a proper clean in here? Like,
Yeah.
actually thoroughly clean this room. Like, wouldn't it be amazing to look at it and not go, ugh? every few
Hmm.
seconds. Like, wouldn't it just be great if all of this clutter was put away properly and tidy and organized? I'm like, oh God, it would, wouldn't it? And so it's hilarious. I have worked so much harder physically
Yeah.
this week than I think any other week recently, but it has all been so cleansing. And I feel so good for it that actually it's allowed me to have this perspective on other things. Like, it started to help me reconnect with the kids, to notice what's going on with them, to consciously and intentionally take the time to make the cookies with them and then sit down and relax and watch a movie together and spend that time with each other. That actually it's been really lovely. And don't get me wrong, I'm definitely looking forward now and going, okay, we are hustling far too often. Like,
Yeah.
the weeks are just ticking by at a rate of knots, and we are not getting enough downtime. Again, like it always happens, we end up putting in far too many clubs and groups and stuff in.
Yeah.
um, and I just feel like this is really important to me right now. And I think that you were saying that obviously with moving house, it's been super stressful, and I can imagine it's probably felt very similar your end as well.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think as I'm hearing you say this, I'm thinking like, okay, this is good. And is the cadence that we should have for kind of this pause or just like a little slowdown, is it just following the half term schedule? Like, because naturally all
Mm,
of the clubs and stuff tend to not run during that week. So it does
yeah.
ease us, it creates a nice excuse, right? To say, okay, well, all of the external stuff is being canceled. So we can really focus internally on this week. Um, and I've never really done that. I think I kind of lean into that week and say, this is going to be our catch up week. You know, we're going to
Yeah.
catch up on any of the schooling we haven't
Yeah.
finished. We're going to catch up on any of the projects we haven't finished, you know, because we don't have to run off to piano or run off to art class or something like that. But
Mm,
now I'm actually thinking like maybe that's not the way to do it. And we'll take that week where all the clubs and stuff are canceled and maybe say like, let's focus internally and on catching up on the house stuff that tends to slip through the cracks because it's so true.
yeah.
And, you know, obviously we've not done anything this week because the clubs and stuff are canceled and because we've been unpacking. So I've been really deliberate to not
Mm,
overextend because I tend to be the kind of person who, when someone says, oh, like, let's do this, I'm thinking, like, yeah, let's do that. Like, that's great. We'll get us out of the house. We'll get to catch up with people. Because that can be really relaxing too, right? If the kids are off playing together and you're able to just catch
mm,
up with moms, it's
mm,
filling my cup, my social cup. My kids are getting entertained. They're having a good time. And I'm not having to necessarily entertain them for that moment. So that's always nice. And it's so easy to want to do that when those opportunities present themselves. But this week, I mean, just because we have to get these boxes out of here. We have to unpack. I can't, I mean, my husband feels it more than I do. Organization is really important to him. It is definitely important to me, but I can, I mean, I'm home with the kids all the time, right? We live here. It's crazy. Um,
mm,
but like I am starting to feel the creep of that, like anxiety of just
mm,
all the stuff surrounding you. And so, yeah, we said this week we're going to focus on that, but I know it's going to spill into the later weeks and probably months before we're there. But I've definitely
mm,
felt in that chaos like a detachment a little bit from my kids because I keep being like, no, 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 I've got to work on this room. I've got to work on this room. So I was telling you earlier that my little one came up and brought me a book and was saying, you know, mommy, can you read this to me? And it I wanted to push it off till bed and be like, no, I'll read it at bedtime, or no, I just can't read it. But I was thinking, I know the book. We've read it a million times. It's a super short book. I can take 2 minutes to read this book to her, give her a quick
mm,
snuggle, and then she can go play, and I can go back to what I'm doing. And so I was thinking, like, okay, well, think about like the little nuggets. So like, excuse me, today they wanted to go outside and ride bikes, and I was not feeling
mm,
well, as you can tell. I'm a little under the weather. But I was like, you know what, actually fresh air would probably be good for me. So I got my cup of tea. We went outside and they rode their bikes. And after like 25 minutes, I just said, guys, I got to get back to it. Like I've got to start to do something. So in we go. And
mm.
hopefully just these little bursts will get us through. Because yeah, it's been crazy and
Yeah.
there's no end in sight.
No, and I think sometimes when we're like faced with the kind of feeling like our weeks are just taking over and like
Hmm.
whatever your situation is, whoever's listening, like whether that is too much work, whether it's the house is a mess, whether it is that you've got a lot going on with high needs kids and disabilities, you know, you've got your own kind of health struggles to be dealing with, like whatever it is that tends to suck the life out of your week a little bit and just
Hmm.
stops you from actually having that time to really feel like you're able to be intentional. I think it's one of the things that was said to me back a very, very long time ago in my kind of self growth journey was that everything is a choice. Now, at the
Hmm.
time, that really annoyed me. But like it would most actually, because the concept of everything being a choice feels really quite frustrating when you're absolutely run ragged by your choices, whether you want
Yeah.
to accept that they're choices or not. And obviously, don't get me wrong, obviously, disabilities and illness and stuff like that, maybe not. But the everything else that we kind of that we choose to do, whether it's the job that we do, whether it's the clubs that we go to, whether it's the fact that we are trying to prioritize the kids all the time and not prioritizing ourselves, whether it's kind of, I don't know, not setting a boundary around a certain thing to allow you to be able to go and have a lie down, or do you know what I mean? Like whether
Yeah.
we kind of, however we choose to live our lives, and some of that can be incredibly intentional with the hope that it's obviously going to allow our kids to have XYZ, more opportunities than you, like more freedom, whatever it is, or whether it's that actually you know that you need a nap sometimes, and if you don't get one, you're going to be a monster. So actually, this is a hard boundary, and we're just going to have to set this one, kids. You just have to learn to leave me alone and let me have an hour's kip once in a while. Like whatever it is
Hmm.
that you choose to do in your life, that ultimately we are living our lives. It is our life. We are figuring it out, and when we are faced with the overwhelm that is an overstuffed calendar or a lot of high need stuff going on, and actually we're not feeling like we're coping with it that well, and everything just feels a little bit chaotic, that we have to kind of ground ourselves in the concept that actually we have chosen this and we can choose something else. Like, if this is not working for one reason or another, we can choose to do it differently. And maybe that isn't an instant fix. Maybe that is something which takes time for you to mull over and work out and to pick through. But it sometimes can be as simple as when you're literally looking at your week and thinking, okay, we're literally at a club Monday morning, like we come home, we do a class Monday afternoon, we're out at this on Tuesdays, we're there on Wednesdays, they get dropped off to a drop off thing all day Thursday, then we're going to swimming Thursday night, and then we're picking up blah, blah, blah. Like if you get to the point where you look at that calendar like I did and did this whole like horrendous mark everything in red on the calendar, and it's like time blocked the whole thing out just to really look at it and to see, is there actually any white space? Have I left any windows of time? And I literally noticed I had 3 days a week where I had 1 hour that did not have a bit of travel time or sitting and eating lunch and sorting the kids out time or like whatever. 1 hour until they were in bed at like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And then obviously sometimes some evenings me and you are sat here recording too in the evening. So like
Yeah.
even that last little tiny nugget of the day is spent like doing a little bit of work. And I know that we're not alone, and I know that most parents are very much in the hustle culture these days. We've got an awful lot to kind of try and keep up with, and times are hard. But we have got to be really conscious then to look at it and go, okay, I can't sustain this forever. Like it is doing me in. I don't have enough time to think about anything extra. And I was sat there thinking, gosh, this doesn't even count for like going and doing a food shop or cleaning the
Yeah.
house or like doing some extra like important things. Like I don't know, like booking appointments or like wondering
Yeah.
for the future or planning for the future or any kind of DIY or anything. Just like what? Like how am I supposed to actually like have an intentional life that's allowing me to grow my vegetables and to bake my bread and to get outside more and to
Yeah.
take care of myself if my week is literally 7:30 until 8:30 at night red blocked out? Like that's insane, and it absolutely needs to change. And I honestly had never truly looked at it properly that way and actually tried to time block my days out to see where the gaps were, because I was thinking that I had time, that I was just wasting it, like, I don't know, trying to have a coffee and scrolling on my phone. But I realized that me having a coffee, scrolling on my phone, is usually me doing a little bit of work on my TikTok for like content, or it might be answering some emails, or it might be writing a blog, or it's doing something, it's like researching something for the kids, or planning another social occasion, or laughing with a bunch of you guys about nice looking people we've met recently. Like whatever it is, like there's always something really important I'm doing on there. I count that as important. It was hilarious,
It was, it was so hilarious. Oh my gosh.
but ultimately we are
Oh,
literally like, I was like, this is silly. And I was like, and I'm quite an intentional person. Like, I am genuinely trying to live intentionally. I'm trying to be a conscious
yeah.
parent. I want to feel connected to myself, to my kids, to my life. And this is crazy. And so I was like, right, this is stopping right now. Like, we have got to go back to basics again. And so I am looking at going ahead, how I can carry on some of this half term slowdown into my future, to open up some more gaps in my week, to slow it down that little bit more, and to allow myself to stop feeling like my head is running faster than my body can keep up, like that I cannot ever quite achieve everything it wants to achieve. And so I live in constant frustration and disappointment. And that's not healthy. And all of us then
Yeah.
find ourselves staying up until silly o'clock, desperately trying to retain some sanity by scrolling on nonsense. And yeah, it's just, it sounds crazy, the concept of slowing down, but again, I'm on a rant now. But there was a thing that I was thinking about recently that's quite funny. If you think back, say, I don't know, go back 100 years, and you suck out a load of the technology we've got now, and you therefore shrink people's worlds, right? Just shrink people
Yeah.
back into what they would have been expected to achieve in a day.
Yes.
And it's really fascinating. If you really think about it, they did not have the kind of cars we have now. They would not have travelled for half an hour in a car, the equivalent of like what, 10, 15 miles, to go to a piano class and then
Yeah.
come home again. Parents would have been expected to wake up, get their kids washed and, in fact, they probably wouldn't have gotten their kids washed and dressed. The kids would have done it for themselves. And they would have grabbed something quick, scrap of bread, and they'd have gotten out in the fields, and they'd have gotten on with doing whatever they had to do, jobs in the house. They'd bake some bread, they'd make some wholesome food for their family based on things they'd grown themselves, reared themselves, could get in the local market. Yes, okay, there were people, they would have had jobs potentially, they would have been out doing busy things in their society too. But they would not have been expected, like the visual of like what a great life is these days for their kids. They would not have been expected to have them well traveled. They wouldn't have gone all around the world. They wouldn't have been doing 3 different instruments and 2 languages and X, Z. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is great opportunities. Yes. Do what you love doing. Yes. But for goodness sake, what we are expected to achieve now is nuts, isn't it? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. Oh my gosh. It's so hard because I feel like this is a whole nother conversation I could go off on about. But I think you hit on something earlier when you mentioned boundaries. And I think that the boundaries can go both ways, right? It can be saying, I'm going to hold this line and say that we're going to have a slowdown week every time it aligns with half term. We're going to
Mm-hmm.
only do 5 outings a week. Um, and that could be like 3 in one day because sometimes we've got art class, we've got swimming, and those happen the same day.
Yeah.
Something like that. Oh, but it also goes the other way in saying, a boundary that I have is every Tuesday night I have field hockey practice, and so
Mm-hmm.
my husband knows he has got to be home so I can
Mm-hmm.
go to practice. And if he's not going to be home, it's going to be for a really unescapable work reason. And it's only
Mm-hmm.
happened once or twice before. And then on Saturdays, I have a game. And so he knows that sometime on Saturday, it could be 10:30 in the morning, it could be 4 p.m. at night. I'm going to be gone for
Right.
roughly 3 hours, maybe four, depending on where the game is. And that's super important to me. So
Mm-hmm.
even though it's not a money making thing for our family, it's just a hobby. It's still something that it would be very easy for him to say, "Oh, hey, I've gotten invited to this work dinner on Tuesday and I want to go." And it's just, some people, but he just knows now that that's, unless it is truly important,
Yeah.
not just a casual catch up, then Tuesday nights just don't work for him. And I think this is one of those things that you kind of mentioned with the changing environment that we're in now as compared to, 50 years ago, 100 years ago, even 20 years ago. Just the
Mm.
expectation that we are always available. We are
Mm.
always on our phones. You can always reach us. And there's so much good that comes from
Yeah.
that, working from home, flexible schedules. I like praise that.
Mm.
It's so fantastic. And I think it helps so much with work-life balance and mental health, but it can also easily tip the other way
Mm-hmm.
into having someone constantly checking their phone at the dinner table, or a call coming
Mm.
in, or being expected to get online and work until midnight on a deal or a project. I mean, I used to do that all the time. Um,
Yeah.
so I think that there's got to be boundaries, and they have to be appreciated and respected. But
Yeah.
recognizing that sometimes things are gonna happen, and you just
Yeah.
have to be able to be okay with it. But yeah, boundaries I think are crucial to that slowness and
Yeah.
to
And I think
maintaining our own. Yeah,
having boundaries with yourself as well, because it's all very well kind of asking other people to respect our boundaries, but how often do we set one for ourselves and then not actually adhere to it? Like,
yeah.
I recently sorted out my screen time limit on my phone.
Don't
And I
ever look at
laugh
that
because
button.
honestly, what is the point of a screen time limit when it literally has a little button that pops up saying ignore? It's like, so I just ignore it. And
Okay.
every time I do it, I just say, I'm really sorry, former self, who desperately wanted me to actually go to bed at 11 o'clock at night and to
Your
stop
intentions are
staying
so
up
good.
until 1 in the morning playing a ridiculously mindless game that has absolutely no purpose whatsoever in my life. But I'm sorry. I've had a day, and so I want to spend 2 hours playing this stupid game, and I don't care what you have to say. And that is just so disrespectful. Like, truthfully, like, that me who set that boundary was saying, I'm tired. I'm so tired. Please
Yep.
let me get a good night's sleep. I desperately need sleep. If I don't get sleep, I'm grumpy. And I'm really disrespecting myself by saying, actually, this doesn't work for me. I'm just going to do it
Hmm.
anyway. And this is something which can be, if you extrapolate it out and you think to yourself, okay, I'll ask you this question in a second because I want to know if there's a thing that you take your kids to every single week that actually you really wished you didn't have to go. Is there something that you do at the moment that you literally genuinely dislike it, don't enjoy going, it's a rubbish time of day, it always feels really hard for you? Is there a moment like that for you?
I'm trying to think. I I don't
Maybe not all the time, maybe
think
just
so.
sometimes, or
Yeah, I think it just sometimes depends. I get frustrated at things that are in the middle of the day.
mm-hmm.
So like if it's I prefer things to be in the afternoon, and the reason is because if we're getting started with our day at home and we're starting to do a little bit of schoolwork or whatever that looks like, and then suddenly we have to be somewhere at 11:30, that's like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to do anything, nothing's going to get done before that, and then nothing's going to get done after it when we get home.
No.
So like I sometimes if something like that pops up, then I get annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
um like I will say our French class is a little bit like that. It's a touch too early in the
Mm.
day, because it basically means we can do stuff until lunch, but then we eat lunch, and then after that it's like we go to
Mm.
French class, and then after that we're at the park, which I'm not saying is wasted time. It is not.
No.
But there's never a coming home and getting back to anything. No one's cleaning, no one's doing
No.
school, no one's doing anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I will say that, but I actually enjoy French, so it's not like I don't like going. It's just
Mm.
maybe a timing issue.
Fair enough. So, I mean, I've got a couple of things in my week which I genuinely dislike going to. Swimming is one of them. It's too hot.
Oh,
I
I
don't
hate.
like
Oh,
the
yeah.
noise
Okay.
level. The acoustics are terrible. Like,
Hmm.
I genuinely dislike it. It is not a bit of my week I look forward to. It's also really late for me anyway. We don't tend to do evening things, so we're there for 5 o'clock and we're not home until 7:15, and it's just too much. And like, yeah. So there's moments in my week that if you think about it, right? if I was to cancel swimming for the kids, and obviously I won't, because it's a life skill, I think it's important. Once they can both learn to swim and they're good, then we'll cancel it. But for right now, they need it. That ultimately, if I was to say, do you know what? This is too much. It's a horrible time of day. I don't want to do it anymore. We're cancelling it. We're not doing it anymore. My kids would be disappointed. And they would maybe be upset about it for a while. And actually, they really love it. And that in itself feels really rubbish, doesn't it? That concept of taking something away from them that we know that they really enjoy. But if you then flip that on its head, and instead of them being disappointed, let down, feeling like their needs are being ignored, their wants are being ignored, and you actually think about the fact that every single time I take them to swimming, I am letting myself down. I am putting myself in a sensory nightmare, something which really stresses me out, is exhausting time of day. I don't normally feel good. Usually I haven't eaten enough, I haven't drunk enough, I haven't whatever enough. That is a time of day that is usually at home, making some dinner, relaxing, letting go of some of the stresses from the day, readying for bedtime. Like, this is not a time of day I enjoy being out. And ultimately, that means that I am feeling disappointed and let down and like I don't care about myself every single time I take myself. Now, it's like, these are compromises, and we do choose to put ourselves out of our comfort zone. It's not the end of the day. I can't be constantly in mine and them constantly out of theirs. That's not how life works. So we have to then look at our week and think, okay, once in a while is fine, but actually, how do I feel about all the things I'm taking my kids to? Does my routine feel good to me? Am I just doing it all because I don't want them to be disappointed and feel let down? Because if ultimately all I care about them is them being disappointed or let down, am I actually caring at all about me being disappointed and let down? And it's really, like, if you really look at it from that perspective and start to think, hang on a minute, actually, like, if you're listening to this and thinking, God, you're right, actually, I am letting myself down all the time. Like, I am begging myself to slow down. I'm tired. I'm fed up. I'm whatevering. Then please take this as a sign to really think, is there something that, sure, okay, the kids might be a bit disappointed, and that's okay. If you need a minute, like if you need to slow your week down a bit, that's okay. Like, it sucks sometimes. They're going to have to learn this in life. They're not always going to get everything that feels good. But ultimately, you deserve to feel good too. And we're supposed to be living a great life right alongside them. Like, we're not sacrificial lambs. We're not here to be sacrificed at the altar of our kids. And if we're not setting those boundaries for ourselves and honouring ourselves, respecting ourselves, then actually we end up resenting them. And that's what's scary about that. It's not us that will resent, it's them, because it will feel like they have taken it all away from us. And that's not true. We have, because we haven't honoured ourselves. And I think that's the biggest important lesson that I constantly have to remind myself of when I'm starting to feel stressed like this, is that they don't deserve to grow up seeing me saying I'm sacrificing all the time and getting mad at them for not appreciating it enough or whatever, when ultimately it was my choice. And so it's a big thing for me. It's something which I worry about a lot.
And I forget where I read this. I forget who said it. I think I've probably mentioned it on this podcast before. But I come back to this when I'm having these thoughts, like what you were just describing, is that the biggest indicator of a child's success, like ability to thrive in life and adulthood, is not what school they go to or grades they get or anything like that. It's the happiness of their mother. And so I always think about that. Like, at the end of the day, if I start to go down this path of being a grumpy, horrible person to be around, and I'm not happy and I'm miserable, and they see that is not ultimately helping them in their life. And so if I have to make some changes to right that, then I'm going to do that, because I know that is going to be a very important component of their growth and thriving as an adult. And then the other thing I was thinking as you were saying that about swimming, so just on like a humorous note, is that I just remember the one day, I think you have swimming on a Thursday, and it was Friday, and you were like, wait, we didn't go to swimming yesterday. I just forgot all about it.
It just didn't even dawn on me, not even a little bit.
It was like the very next day, you were like, huh, we just had a lovely evening. We were at home, we had dinner, we were relaxing together, and just whoop. So even
Oh, it's
your
literally,
body will naturally push that
yeah,
out.
yeah. It definitely does. I mean, it's not the first time I've quite literally forgotten about it entirely. So it's clearly not a part of my day that I look forward to. Um, but yeah, the kids are usually pretty mad at me if we manage to forget it. But it's yeah, it's fascinating. I think that all of this is, and it's also, I don't want to like beat anybody with a stick right now, because if you are not happy right now, if you are in a place like I have been recently, where
Yeah, we
actually
all
you are
have.
not happy, like you are snippy and you are tired and you are grumpy and you are a bit fed up and you are maybe getting a little bit, I don't want to swear, but like whatevering with the kids, like we're getting a little bit moody
Hmm.
and not very nice. And sometimes, yeah, I really find myself thinking, God, you just must be the most horrible person to be with right now. Like, and it's not their fault. And obviously, I do have high needs kids, and I have high needs myself. We all live in our sensory nightmares, and so we do trigger each other, and it is stressful sometimes. But ultimately, I know that I'm doing my best, and that you're sat here listening to this, and you might be sitting there thinking now, what could I change? What could I tweak? How could I let me feel a little bit less let down each week? And honestly, even if you manage to make it 1 minute, like one additional minute a day, where you are consciously, I don't know, like as you take your first sip of your cups of coffee that you make for yourself, actually stop and taste it. Every time you step outside, just look up at the sky and just notice the clouds, or look at the beautiful colours of the trees, or just every single one of those teeny weeny mindful moments actually
Hmm.
can start to heal and help you to feel a little bit more connected to the world around you, a little bit more in the moment, and start to stop you from constantly being in tomorrow, next week, whatever issue you're worried about. And I mean, like, I am on the third leak in my house of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And I caught myself on the brink of a meltdown about it this morning, being like, really? Like, I joked about this year not yet being over when someone said to me the other day, like, hopefully that's it now. Like, no more
I'm like,
stresses this
wait.
year. And I was just like, why? Don't say that to me. Like, that's, it's like, there is still months left of this year. And so I know that I have got more money to spend. And it's really stressful. And I said to my son this morning, I'll come down and play Minecraft. Like, first thing this morning, literally, like, right as we were waking up, I was like, I'll come down, we'll play Minecraft. And as I went down the stairs to start playing Minecraft, I noticed how far up the stairs the leak actually was. Like, I'd noticed it damp on the wall
No.
downstairs, and so I noticed. And so I tracked where it went. And then I went outside and I had a look at the wall outside. And then I went upstairs and I looked at the bathroom. And before I know it, it's now breakfast time and we're doing something else. And I've basically gone back on my promise. And he's super upset with me that I didn't just come and sit and do it with him. I was like, kiddo, like, I'm busy. I'm sorry. This is important. And you need to understand that I need to call a plumber and I need to sort this out. And he was just so disappointed with me.
Yeah.
And I think in these moments, you can feel really rubbish that you're not parenting well enough in that moment. You're not honoring your promises. You're not doing the right things. And I just want to give everybody a little bit of compassion here, because things happen and life is messy and it's busy and disappointment is a part of life. And our kids sadly will experience it and need to experience it. They need to know how to handle it. Like, they need to hear our true apologies. They need to hear our reasons. They need to learn how to have compassion for people when they get busy or when they get stressed and have difficult moments. And I guess that we could look at this from 1,000 different directions, but I guess the point is that it's okay if right now this phase of your life is not a particularly happy one. It's
Yeah.
okay if it's not all panning out perfectly and things are not beautiful and rosy and you haven't felt like doing loads of Halloween crafts this week and you're not going to do some magic homemade costume like you do normally, or maybe it's their birthday and you haven't been able to bake their cake and you've had to buy it when you normally love to bake it, or whatever it is that you are sacrificing, or just lowering expectations a little bit, putting something down, saying, actually, this isn't going to happen right now. Like, I just need a minute. It's okay. This is important. you're actually being intentional, you are being kind to yourself. That is just as important as being kind and loving to your kids. And I guess from my perspective, that's what's been really important for me the past few weeks, is to remember that, like, it's a cliche phrase of like, you can't pour from an empty cup. But the truth is that if you aren't happy, then you're going to have a very hard job making your kids happy. And so we do have to feel as much as possible like we are honouring ourselves, respecting our own boundaries, loving ourselves, adjusting our life to be more intentional so that we actually feel good in it, so that we're able to do the same for our kids. And we're not going to want to do it for anyone if we're suffering all the time. Like, we're just not going to enjoy it. And that's, I don't see the point in my kids having the very best childhood whilst I sit on the sidelines of it miserable. What is the point of that? Like, and as you say, are they really going to have the very best childhood if I'm sat on the side of it miserable the whole time? Probably not.
Yeah.
And I
At the
think
end of the
it's,
day, yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but I think, yeah, at the end of the
mm,
day, largely they just want to be with us, right?
yeah,
At this age anyway.
precisely.
Not later,
Yeah.
but for now, for
I take
now.
it. Yeah.
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 And so, yeah, just lots of love, I guess, and no beating yourself up. Like, we're all in this together. It's hard. And as home educating mums, we were saying earlier, like, it's a lot, and we're busy
Hmm.
people, and it's okay if things have kind of gotten away from us a little bit, and if we're in a stressful phase that could last months, it could last a year or two, it will work itself out. Just keep being kind to yourself, and hopefully
Yeah.
you'll start to make some little tweaks, little moments, and it'll start to make a difference. All right, guys. Well, we'll wrap it up there and let you guys get on with your week. Thank you for listening, as always. If you want to make sure that you're getting notified of episodes as they go live, do make sure that you have subscribed on whichever platform you're listening to this on. So Spotify and Apple, obviously, both of those. So you can obviously click subscribe on there. But also, if you wanted to kind of join the mailing list, then I do tend to send an email out each week as well, and let people know about the episode. That is a bit more sporadic, I'll be honest. But we're definitely here most weeks. So if you make sure you subscribe, then you should definitely get a notification that we've popped up another episode. But as usual, we'll be back next week. And yeah, we'll carry on up until just before Christmas. So enjoy, guys, and thanks again.
Have a good one.